border is secure.
We're going to have 2 million people cross this border for the first time ever. We're confident this border is secure.
We have a secure border in that is a priority for any nation, including ours and our administration.
The lovely and gracious Kamala Harris, your vice president. I know that's not a city issue, but I'm just relieved to hear the border is secure. Jim Gerety is a candidate for city council in Midland and decides to run for city council. And, you know, I always encourage people, you ought to run for office. No, if I ran for office, whatever. And but I'm always told, no, but you did it. What prompted this?
Well, you know, I've owned a business now for 23 years here in Midland, Odessa. I actually crossed the Permian Basin from Pecos to Abilene. And while as a business owner and franchisee for Domino's, I joined the Franchisee Association as a board member, eventually became president of the board, and then started to do work in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill for our industry. And the challenges that go on up in Capitol Hill, and I know we're talking city council today, but the challenges up in Capitol Hill intrigued me, and it was interesting to see how the process works. We were able to get some things changed with the help of former Congressman Conaway and Dan Crenshaw, several others, Mike McCall. So we were able to make some beneficial changes as business owners to help us out from a tax basis and from a wage basis and other things. So that kind of got me inspired when I came back. And now that my wife Cassie is now operating the business, she's the franchisee of record, and I am her partner and supporter and husband. I felt the time was right to give back to a community that's been wonderful to us over the years. And I come with a servant's heart. I just want to help the city of Midland. I don't have an aspiring agenda to seek higher office. I just wanted to address some of the concerns and issues we have because we're growing rapidly as a city, and some of those growing pains are painful right now. And I don't see that we're going to find a way to mitigate and reduce those pains with the current direction we're headed.
It's a good place to live, West Texas, Odessa, Midland. I'm one of those who really like this area. We don't have mountains, lakes, or trees, but it's good. And so I really have a lot of respect for those who run for city council, library. Well, you don't run for library, but hospital board, whatever.
Sure.
And you don't make a lot of money doing it, but I appreciate people that do this, and so that's good. I know it's time consuming. So
and it's fine. What I find time consuming right now is being the HOA board president for Grasslands Estates West. A lot of neighbor issues, a lot of things have gone on in the last 2 years. I certainly didn't join the Grassland West board to get into a squabble over golf course behind us, but it was what was presented in front of us, and I'm very proud to say that the board, did not want to see that development in place, that it was going to impact our community, and I was very appreciative of their support, and I was able to find solution to the problem, which really was, before anything can move forward, we need to understand what that land is about, what it's intended for, what it's meant for, and that's what got me into local politics.
Is that issue now resolved? It will come before the council more than likely. You could be on that council.
Well, absolutely, and the reality is I know the owner of the golf course would like to sell it and retire. And I am a proponent of property rights, and I think every Midlander should be a proponent of individual property rights. Where we ran into the problem was when the individual property rights, in this case, were impacting negatively the community around it. And I think somewhere down the road, we'll see this golf course sell. My hope is, I'd love to see Fort Midland be successful in raising the money and being able to buy the space. If not, we're going to have to look at alternatives. I don't have rose-colored glasses, and realistically speaking, the owner should have the opportunity and the right to do something with his property. My hope is this stays a green space. I think that's the most beneficial thing for Midland as a whole, whether it's a golf course or whether it's open space. Somebody needs to really start focusing on the fact there is a lack of that on this side of Midland.
Okay, now he has the right to sell. and then somebody has the right to buy.
Correct.
So when you buy, then you would have the right to do whatever you wanted to do with that property.
Absolutely. Now, see, the challenge is there's a lot of wetlands there. There's a lot of drainage issues there. And the initial plan that was presented to us, and it was presented to Planning and Zoning, showed that there was very little consideration for drainage. And the last FEMA study was done in 1995. Our concern was we had a huge rain event. You might remember it in late June of 2021, that we had water going into the golf course, backing up into our neighborhood, and that was really the linchpin to that plan being scrapped, to the council rejecting it. Unless we get a 100-year flood study done at either city expense or developer's expense or the golf course owner's expense, our community will fight. We believe in the right of somebody to be able to transact their land, but it has to be with the safety and consideration and the protection of the existing homeowners that live and enjoy where they live.
We're at 8:42 now. The time brought to you by First Bank and Trust. And if you would like to talk to Midland City Council candidate Jim Gerety, the number is 620-8700. If you would like to communicate via the text line, the number is 432-222-2500. Jim, you're running for District 4.
Yes, sir.
What basically is, where is District 4?
So District 4 to the north is Green Tree Boulevard south, running north-south along and west of, in parts, Loop 250. So it includes Holiday Hill Village, Great House, Los Patios, Grassland Estates, Grassland West, Legacy, Legends, and then it jots over to the east side, Wilshire Heights area, and also around Bush Elementary in that area. So it's an interesting, unique layout of the district.
They all are, it seems like. Why not make it just a big square?
You think keep it simple, and that's the way we run our business. Let's follow the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yep, I like that. 8:44 now. Jim Gerety, council candidate, District 4 on the radio. And beyond what you were just talking about, the golf course and everything, other big issues that you see.
Well, I think from a city council perspective, one of the misses for us was communication. I think as a city council member, you're elected to serve the district first. I think it's critically important that as much communication about things that are coming up that may impact your constituents is a priority for me. I think we missed that opportunity in 2021. Example being a D.R. Horton project's going in on the west side of 158 to the west of Grassland Estates West. We had no communication on that. The next thing you know, dirt is being turned. I think those are opportunities. I look at the infrastructure challenges right now. We have TxDOT tearing up Loop 250 and 191. We were told it'll be in phases. One freeway will get worked on first, and then they'll move to the next one. Well, it turned out the whole thing got done at once. Now we have critical traffic problems running through the neighborhoods. We have congestion going on almost nonstop from sunrise to sunset. Those kind of things I think are just misses and opportunities to simple fixes, to get involved and let the community know, hey, this is what's coming, and also to advocate for the concerns of the community that's going to be impacted by these construction projects. We need these projects. They got to be done. But we should be responsible as a city to minimize the impact of these projects coming in. So I think infrastructure, not so much the fact we have a plan. We got growth plans. We have Wadley Extension coming, which is the big one for District 4. That's going to improve traffic for that area. It's funny because I remember seeing that drawn out back in 2005 or 6, where they were going to do a Wadley Extension, and here we are 2022, and we're talking about breaking ground. So missed opportunities. I know there's only so much money you can spread so far, but we've got some serious challenges here in this district.
And in this city, we have. I moved here in '77. What a change in all those years, of course. But it really has grown. And I don't guess the end is in sight. No,
I don't think so. I just, from the MDC, I had a visit with them, and they were saying the current population of the city of Midland is around 160,000 people. I moved here in 1999. There were 92,000 people. and we have grown, and we will continue to grow. I think the challenge is, can we keep government small enough and lean enough, but still provide the services that our community expects? And one of the challenges I feel is the lack of law enforcement. It's not that we don't have good cops. We have cops that work hard, they do their job every day, but we don't have enough. And I want to try to help problem solve that. We have the same issue in my business. We've had struggles hiring and retaining people, but we've kind of figured it out. We kind of, found a way to lead by example and to, do some leadership work within our company. And, I'm open to whatever it is we can do to help get cops hired, trained, and retained. Because I think it's a great career and it's a noble profession, and it's gotten a bad rap since 2020. And we've got to turn that around. I think it's critically important. I do know response times in District 4 are not good. And police, when you're limited in the number of officers out on the streets, they have to go where the biggest problems are. So when a problem arises in an area that doesn't have a lot of problems, you may or may not see a police officer show up in a timely manner.
And that's true. I see people running up and down Big Spring here 80 miles an hour with loud cars. Don't I sound like an old person? But it just bugs me. And I realize the police can't be there. There's other things that have to happen. But so in order to accomplish this, we'd have to pay them. See, that guy is telling us he's not texting and driving. That's good. That's good.
That's good.
I appreciate that. But so to get more police on the streets and everything, can take some more money. So do you cut someplace else, or do you increase taxes?
Well, my understanding is the budget's already allotted to hire more officers. That's not the issue. The money's there. It's the people being interested in joining law enforcement. That's the challenge. And as they bring some in, they lose some. And it's not. I had that question raised on Facebook. Really, we're not talking about spending a lot more money. We're just talking about getting people in that we've already budgeted for to fill the ranks. And every year the city council goes through a budget process, and the police chief submits his budget to the city manager. The city manager presents a budget to the city council, and those numbers are reflected in that. So I'm not proposing that we have to go out and raise a bunch of taxes or get a bunch more money into the coffers. I really just think we got to figure out a better way to get more cops on the streets, because the reality is the less staff you have, and this is management 101 out of my business, the less staff you have, the more work there is, the morale goes down, it gets old, they get tired, and they leave. That's what we got to change. And that's prevalent in everything, whether it's government or it's in business. And I know that, I hope there's business owners out there nodding their head up and down going, yes, sir, you're right, yes, sir. Because the reality is we have people doing more with less help and support. And we've got to keep the motivation positive, keep people uplifted, and find solutions that are outside the box, outside the way of thinking that's been the standard. Because I went through the oil boom from the 2010 to 2015 boom. That was the worst time of our lives from a staffing perspective. We had people just doing so much with so little. And we committed ourselves that when the next boom came, we weren't going to put ourselves in that position. Now, some people say you got to pay more money. I talk to active duty officers. I've talked to retired officers. They say Midland Police Department pays well and is very competitive in the state with its benefits and its starting pay. If that is true, and I'm going to assume it's true, then we need to look at what's the other reason that we're not attracting young men and women to come into the police force.
Any ideas on that? What you might propose?
Well, the young generation today is unique, and they need a certain. I'll tell a little story. I kind of had to step back a little bit in my business because I wasn't connecting with young people anymore. And my wife is younger than me, and she has that ability to connect. And if anybody knows my wife, you could see the dynamic personality in her. And sometimes it takes that kind of dynamic personality, that person that understands what young people's needs are and what drives them to be successful, that will help in the recruitment and in the training and in the retention. One of the things I did when we went through the last bus cycle, we did a lot of leadership training. And Leadership 101, lead by example. Getting the boots out on the street. Whether you're brass or whether you're a patrol officer, the leading by example is key for people to go, for managers. So my business, for managers to feel like they're supported, they in turn support their team. Their team is sitting there going, hey, we like working at our business because they take care of us. And I think that's applicable whether you're in city government or whether you're in the private sector.
Jim Gerety, candidate for Midland City Council, District Number 4. And Jim on the radio with us here on KWEL AM and FM. And Jim, what are your thoughts about downtown Midland?
Yeah. Wow.
Like the old Western United Life building, the Development Corporation owns that, and the word I hear is they want to tear it down. Probably a good thing. Do you have any thoughts on that?
We can go back over the spilled milk of the past or look at what we can do today. I think that building needs to come down. I don't think that was the best decision in the world. I think the intentions were good. I like to see a revitalized downtown Midland. A lot of people debated this over the years. I see other cities in Texas that have done the exact same thing, whether it's Mason, Texas, or Roanoke, Texas. And those are cities much smaller than Midland, but they have a vibrant downtown. They did it because they brought in incentives to bring new business into the downtown. I think the downtown's our center. I think it's our core. It's symbolic of who we are. We're not the tall city on the loop. We're the tall city in downtown Midland.
Any thoughts on entertainment district? There's talks about putting an entertainment district downtown, which would allow people to walk around during events at night, whatever, with a beer in their hand, whatever. Some people don't want that to happen. Other people will say we need to do that. I think it's a great idea myself. And Midland, of course, is certainly trending younger. The median age is 32, 33 down, or something like that. Sure. So, entertainment district?
I would go back to one of my examples, Roanoke, Texas. Roanoke was a dying town. The Interstate 35 had passed it by, used to be a major route through there. They reinvested in their downtown area, and on any night of the week, Monday night, Wednesday night, the weekend, their downtown is busy, and it's loaded with restaurants, has a music venue, has urban living condominiums for sale and apartments for rent. They transformed their main street into an amazing attraction. We love to go, when we're in the DFW area, we love to go to Roanoke because the restaurant choices are amazing. I think that is a solid way to get the downtown really stepped up and moving in the right direction. I don't have a problem with it. I think, if it requires some kind of incentives, I don't think the city should be shelling out millions of dollars to make that happen, but creating some kind of stimulus, some kind of incentive, whether it's a tax abatement or something like that. I think the Thomas Hotel, or the Hotel Thomas that's coming on Lorraine Street, is an example of that. That's a beautiful old building that has been an office building in the past. I think it has the ability to be a good neighbor in the downtown area. So I think those are the kind of things you have to look at.
All right, Jim Gerety on AM 1070 and FM 107.1. I'm sorry, missed that call a while back, but let me check our text line here too. The text line is 432-222-2500. And you can talk to Jim Gerety, who is a candidate for Midland City Council in District Number 4. Economic development money, do you have any preference where that sort of thing should go?
I do, and I had a great meeting with the executive director of the MDC, and at times I've been critical of that. I've kind of questioned some of the projects they've done in the past. I think there's been some really good projects they've done, but the one thing I really think that this city needs from MDC is an increase in transportation spending. I think if they allotted more funds, and it's not to say they haven't allotted money. I mean, kudos to them. They just announced that they're going to help finish up that piece of Loop 250 Todd Road. I think that's significant progress. But we need other things like connector roads at 191 and Loop 250. This whole project they're doing right now is a Band-Aid approach. 5 years from now, we're going to be looking at traffic problems in the same area, and I think we need to take some of that sales tax money and put it into infrastructure, because the reality is we've built that Loop 250 out east. That area is going to grow. That's economic development. When you build roads, you get economic development more than anything else. And I've lived in cities with the not in my backyard mentality, and every time they want to build a road, like in the state of Arizona, and it got fought over, the economy suffered for it. And I'm speaking specifically about Tucson, while Phoenix grew. Phoenix is a huge economic engine in the state of Arizona. Why? They built freeways around their city. They knew that if they build it, they will. If the state or the city builds it, they will come, and they grew their city. Whereas Tucson has struggled for years because no one wanted to spend money on roads. This is the key to economic development for Midland.
All right, you're on the morning show on KWEL AM 1070 and FM 107.1 with Jim Gerety. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Hey, I'd like to comment on that starting pay for Midland Police Department. Is it around $57,000 a year?
Yes, and I think, and I believe with shift adjustments because of graveyards and swing shifts and stuff, I think it migrates up to $65,000, and then there's benefits on top of that. And
yeah, I gotta tell you, that's terrible for Midland. I mean, each month I hear on the news, we get a record sales tax, $5.9 million. I was making $40 an hour as PD in California, but 57 to 65 a year for this city. Yeah. Well, you wonder why we can't fill the ranks.
And again, this is just information that was shared to me by active duty officers and retired. Texas versus California, and years ago I grew up in California, and everything costs more, and you have to pay more.
Oh yeah,
and, there's such,
of course,
and of course Texas will one day be facing a lot of those challenges as we go down the path of growth, and especially with all the migration into our state from California. And the other part of it is, if there's a budget of, and I don't have actual numbers, but if the budget is $5 million a year and they're only spending $3 million a year in salary and wages, or salaries, maybe they need to revisit that and increase maybe instead of looking for 50 officers, look for 25 officers and pay them more. I'm open. Look, the whole process, I'm not an expert. I have an opinion. I have what I think, could be a solution to help solve a law enforcement issue. And I promise, if I am the city council person for District 4, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to talk to the city manager. I'm going to talk to the police chief. Let's work on this. Let's find solutions, because I know in my district, gunshots are heard, and it takes a while for police to show up. We have accidents. It takes a while for them to show up. We are under protected currently in our district because of the lack of police officers.
And with that, Jim, we're out of time. We got to run. You got a busy day going. I know that, too. But thanks for coming in and spending a little time. We appreciate that.
My pleasure. Anytime, Craig.
You come by.